Welcome to these forums for the 2023 general election, which will be held on November 7th. I am Liz Kernitz-Thurlow of the League of Women Voters of Tacoma-Pierce County, and we're happy to be working again with TV Tacoma. The League of Women Voters of Tacoma-Pierce County wishes to acknowledge that we live on the ancestral lands of the Coast Salish peoples, surrounded by their traditional waters in the shadow of Mount Tahoma. We actively seek inclusive and respectful partnerships that honor Indigenous cultures, histories, identities, and current realities. The general election is Tuesday, November 7th. All votes must be in drop boxes or, if mailed, postmarked by 8 p.m. on November 7th. Our vote is our voice. Please use yours. In Tacoma, our general election ballot will have 4 council races. District 1, which has only one candidate, John Hines, so we will not be doing a forum. District 3, where the candidates are Jamaica Scott and Chris Van Vechten. At-large position 7, candidates are Olgi Diaz and Kristen Wynn. And at-large position 8, where the candidates are Christina Walker and Todd Brisky. The 2 at-large positions are being presented in one forum. As well, we have an election for position 3 on the Tacoma Civil Service Board, but no forum could be held. These are all 4-year terms. For Tacoma School District number 10, which has 6-year terms, positions 3 and 5 will be on your ballot. Position 3 has only one candidate, Corey Strozier, the incumbent, so no forum. For position 5, the candidates are Elizabeth Bonbright and Brianna Wolk. We also have Port of Tacoma elections this year. Port commissioners are elected for 4-year terms. Positions 3 and 5 are on your ballot. For position 3, the candidates are Deanna Keller and Jeanette Twitty. For position 5, the candidates are Kristen Ang and Dave Bryant. Tacoma Metro Parks has 2 seats, which will be on our ballots. For position 4, Andrea Smith, the incumbent, is the sole candidate. For position 5, the candidates are Tony Anderson and Matt Maurer. We will do a forum for position 5. These are 6-year terms. If you're not yet a registered voter, you can register at the Pierce County Auditor's Office up to 8 p.m. on Election Day or at public libraries. If you do not receive your ballot in the mail, contact the Pierce County Elections Department. Thank you for watching and being an informed citizen. We encourage you also to read local news, check candidates' websites, etc. And after watching and thinking, please don't forget to vote. Election Day is November 7th. Thank you. Welcome to this forum for Tacoma School District, Position 5. The candidates are Elizabeth Bonbright and Brianna Wolk. Thank you both for being here. I'm Liz Kernitz-Thurlow of the League of Women Voters of Tacoma-Pierce County, and I will be moderating this forum. School Board Position 3 will also be on the ballot, but as there's only one candidate, the incumbent, Corey Strozier, we will not be holding a forum. School district terms are 6 years. As the candidates know, they will have up to 2 minutes each for an opening statement, whatever I give them for questions, and up to 1 minute each for a closing statement. They have agreed to our ground rules, which include not interrupting each other and not making any comments about the other candidate. Our timekeeper is Susan Eidenschink. She will let you know how much time you have left and when it is time to stop. The order of answering questions will alternate, so whenever you've answered second, be ready to answer first. Elizabeth Bonbright will make the first opening statement, and Brianna Wolk will make the first closing statement. Elizabeth Bonbright, your opening statement, please.
Thank you, Liz, and thank you to the League of Women Voters for hosting this forum. My name is Elizabeth Bonbright, and I am currently serving as president of the Tacoma School Board. Tacoma Public Schools is a large district. We have 29,000 students, 5,000 staff, and 60-plus buildings and facilities throughout. Our district is diverse. It's got 65% minority students, and 64% of our families are low income, which creates many challenges and barriers to educational opportunity, which was made even harder 4 years ago when I first joined the board, just 3 months before the COVID worldwide pandemic struck, and we were forced to shutter our schools and figure out how to empower our families, support them with Wi-Fi and computers for their kids and food to nourish their bellies. And it was a huge challenge, which we rose to the occasion and continue moving forward on a regular basis with innovation in our district. So I know in September, right after, in 2020, we set up an entire K-12 online academy, and we're able to accommodate for remote learning those families who didn't want to come back full-time and those who did. And so our teachers have worked hard through the past 4 years to adjust to life in COVID and post-COVID, and we are still innovating. And in this forum today, we will dive into some key issues, and I'm looking forward to that discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. Brianna Wolk.
Thank you, Liz, and thank you to the League of Women Voters, and for everybody, every voter in Tacoma that's watching this today. I know this is probably your first time meeting me, so I will introduce myself. My name is Brianna Wolk, aka Brian Wolk, aka Killa B. Yeah, so the reason that I feel that we need more, I grew up in Puyallup, went to the Puyallup Public Schools, and I've lived in Pierce County my entire life, and I'm 35 years old, and so I've been a voter for my entire adult life, and I've noticed over the years that too often the positions go uncontested. So it's not about a particular position or a particular person for me on the school board. I'm just disappointed to see that nobody from the public shows up to a lot of these school boards, and a lot of times this body is speaking to an empty room. And this problem goes deeper than the school board. It goes to it happens in the courts, and the entire state is basically run by one party and one group of people. So I just wasn't seeing anybody stepping up. So that's why I filed to run, and I'm willing to do anything to use my platform to make things better. So appreciate that, Liz. This will get easier as I go, but thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Brianna Wolk will answer the first question first. You have up to 90 seconds, but you don't need to use all of it. If there is a biggest problem with the Tacoma School District, what is it, and what do you hope to do about it?
Absolutely. I feel that students are not being, that are going through the public school system and are graduating are not prepared as well as they could be for, and I just want to see us, I'm disappointed with the curriculum. I want to see a stronger focus on math and science and chemistry. I'm a former tutor for 6 years of physics, math, and chemistry, so I would just like to see a return to, I want to see a focus on STEM. Oh, she's giving me, But the biggest problem, I would say, is students not being academically prepared, because as we know, like, they're not meeting their standards in math and reading, perhaps. Yeah. I'm so sorry. I'm totally choky right now.
Okay, that's fine. You'll make it up. You'll make up for it.
No, I have to. Yeah. Go ahead.
Elizabeth Bonbright.
No problem. Take a breath. It's good. So I think the biggest problem facing our students is their mental health. Right now, coming out of COVID just made it so much more obvious, the anxiety and the depression that is prevalent in this generation of individuals. And I have, children. I know my friends have children, and it's really hard to see the evolution of anxiety and depression that's becoming common. Just look at the numbers of students on medication or with diagnoses. And that COVID made that 10 times worse. And so what we're trying to struggle with at the schools is, we're there to educate the students, but you can't educate kids who come to school hungry or who come to school exhausted because they didn't sleep, or who come to school anxious and depressed. And so we're trying to build systems where we can connect students and families with the appropriate services in the community around mental health, but we need to build more mental health infrastructure in our community. So the problem isn't just the schools, it's the community as a whole. And this is, I know I'm working very hard with my colleagues, my elected official colleagues, to help build up more infrastructure for mental health, but our staff is also overstressed and overworked and anxious. So it's a problem endemic to all ages.
Thank you. Okay, Elizabeth Bonbright will answer the next question first. And I had written this question, and after stuff I learned last night, the next question is going to kind of relate and be the opposite, just so you know. As with other school districts, after the COVID pandemic, not all students returned to school, so numbers were down, and therefore state funding was down. What kinds of cuts have been made? Are other budget cuts necessary? How is this affecting students, faculty, and the level of education? What kinds of solutions could you propose or have you proposed? And do you see any answers? And I know that's about 6 or 8 questions. So take whatever part of it you want, and you can have up to, 90 seconds.
Okay, that's quite a loaded question, but it's apropos, and actually that was my second choice for the biggest problems that we're facing is financial. Because yes, we collectively as a school system in a country have lost a lot of students, some of whom we don't know where they went. So if they're homeschooled or if they've dropped out or what. So it has dramatically impacted our income, our appropriation from the state. And so we've already made $15 million in cuts. We have another $6 million that we're struggling with. We did better than a lot of districts because we actually had some infrastructure and some fund balance in place that we've been buying down, which is now the bottom has been reached, so we're at the 5% we need to be. The ESSER funds, the federal money, has ended this year, will be the end of it. And so there is a cliff. It is a problem. If the funding does not increase, we are going to have to make more serious cuts. The cuts that Tacoma Public Schools has made already, we have tried to keep them out of the classroom. They've been at the administrative office, and they have also, been around support services. So there's nothing left but going into the school room. So we're hoping we don't have to do that.
Thank you. Brianna Wolk.
I'm so glad the issues of mental health and COVID were brought up. As was said, I think those things were very related. I also think that as far as budget cuts goes and the drop in enrollment, I think that a lot of people's faith was destroyed in these public institutions such as public schools. I would like a guarantee that that's not going to happen again, because you can't do that to kids. I mean, and there's no accountability. It's just like a situation that's blown over. It's tough to hear that because I'm sure there's a lot of unheard hurt out there, and I'm just curious. We're facing a budget shortfall because of the lack of enrollment, if I'm not mistaken. So if we continue to entertain these kinds of things and drive people out of the public school system and destroy their faith in the institution, then I think one thing that I would support at whatever level this needs to happen is the funding should follow the backpack. And I apologize if it seems like I've been a little unprepared, but I want to be genuine here and try to speak to that pain that my faith has been destroyed in many parts of the system, but I sympathize with those that have been, okay, I have to stop it, that have been driven out of the schools. That's been affected by this. Thanks.
And Brianna, you'll answer the next question first. I have very recently learned that this school year, the schools are crowded. Classes are at maximum or larger. Many schools do not have an available classroom, even if they could hire another teacher for more classes. So what is the district doing about this, or what needs to be done, and how? Because everybody's apparently having a really hard time.
Wow, that's tough to hear, and it just seems like a situation that's getting worse and worse over time. So I noticed if you go and look at who's on the board, according to the website, it says nobody's been on there since longer than 2019. But for some reason, I feel like I've seen these names in the past as well. So I'm curious about that. But I'm so sorry. Can you repeat that?
That classes this year
classes
are overcrowded,
yeah.
And there's no room for more teachers.
There's been a drop in staff. There's a drop in funding. It really does seem like a tough and dire situation. So I'm hoping there can be some answers for that. But I would support the flexibility of some students taking, as was mentioned in last night's board meeting, the first hour or the last hour off and doing remote classes, and supporting more remote work because it's kind of the future of education and work. So they need to get used to this stuff anyways when we get into the real world, because that stuff is becoming more and more prevalent too. So, and another thing is we're living in the information age, so the fact that the curriculums are locked down and you have to do public records requests to look at them and other things like that, I think that the information should be more freely available. I've seen some initiatives that are encouraging, and I look forward to more. So thank you.
Thank you. Elizabeth Bonbright.
Liz, can I ask a clarifying question? So is this comment about overcrowding schools specific to Tacoma Public Schools, or is you talking generally?
Tacoma Public Schools from teacher.
Oh, because that's news to me. I just have to say that we're not hearing that. Maybe there's an occasional school where that is happening that I haven't heard about, but since enrollment is down, it's not been a problem. But we are having this year. Matter of fact, I just got the numbers, like a peek at the numbers, but they're not final. But we seem to be up in elementary, which is fabulous, and up in high school. So both of those areas are up. So kids are coming back, but not quite sure and stable in the middle school. So okay. I will look into that, but I've not heard of that as a problem.
Thank you. So 60 seconds, please, even though it needs a lot more time. And you're first, Elizabeth Bonbright. How can we ensure that all students, regardless of race, sex, sexual orientation, housing issues, or financial needs, are treated equitably and get the services they need? And do you think Tacoma schools are doing a good job?
Thank you for asking that question. It is something that we as a board have been incredibly focused on, and last year it was a huge board goal, and in 2022 we actually passed in May, I believe, one of the one of the strongest anti-racism policies in the country for school districts, and we have become a model for that. So to make sure to address this exact issue. So it's led to training and other things for our staff, and also for families to understand that their kids are safe, schools are a safe space, and also that there are plenty of focus on the board's focus and the superintendent's focus is on opportunities, educational opportunities for all. So we are striving to make sure that, for example, now we have made sure that every single elementary student gets a field trip and every middle school student has a field trip as well. That was not the case in the past. We're just trying to make it easier for every kid to have opportunities. And I can go into more detail, since I'm running out of time, on another question about the things we currently have in place at school, innovative schools, high schools, et cetera, that give kids opportunities they wouldn't have in other districts.
Thank you. Brianna Wolk.
Yes, what was the question? I'm sorry.
How can we ensure that all students, regardless of race, sex, sexual?
I think the root cause needs to be addressed because there's disparities, of course, in the city between South and the North End, for example, of life expectancy difference of 15 years, for example. And I think, I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah,
Just say what you need to say.
Sure. I think it's when you don't look at the root causes and you focus on, I mean, here's what's disappointing. I don't see a lot of focus from the board on actual metrics of outcomes. I see a lot of focus on addressing group disparities based on these different factors of equity and whatnot, but I think that definitely increasing, thanks. I should wrap it up somehow, but
Okay.
Go ahead.
Your time is up. I'm going to ask another question. You get to answer it first. According to data from OSPI, Office of the Superintendent of Public Instruction, our state education overseer, 60% of our ninth graders have a passing grade in all their courses. What ways do you see to improve this number and how to help these students be successful in high school? 60 seconds, plenty of time.
Yes, thank you so much. Of course, it kind of continues with what I was saying. I would like to see a shift to a pedagogical learning and achievement, and that stuff is the stuff that's really going to help these kids, regardless of what group they're in, based on their identity, based on their factors. Regardless of what one they're in, they need to be able to succeed academically and be competent in math, technology, and I think there's a lot that could be done. And really what these kids are looking for is not for people to look at them and say, you're disadvantaged, so I'm going to do this and address the disparity that way. I think they have just the same amount of ability to learn and the same desire to learn, and it's actually more important for them. And you would be doing them a disservice by not focusing on the academic achievement. And I think, we should a school is a place for learning, as we know. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Elizabeth Bonbright.
At Tacoma Public Schools, we are laser focused on academic excellence. And I will say, last year, after COVID, after all of that, we had the highest graduation rate in our history, 90.2%. We are preparing these youth, and we're doing it in a couple of ways. One of the things is, historically, there was always a movement, kind of a drive towards college, and everyone had to get out and get into college. And we're realizing that that's not for everybody. and that really it's really important that we have pathways. And so we have put a lot of focus as well in current technical education, CTE, and every one of our middle schoolers and high schoolers takes CTE programs and sees if they have an interest, and hopefully that will drive them in that direction. We require every graduate to have a VANI, a verified acceptance at the next institution, whether it's a job, an apprenticeship, or a 2-year college, a 4-year college, whatever it is. That's part of the graduation requirements. So we are doing things that other districts aren't to make sure that our kids are prepared for what's right for them in their future, with an academic base.
Thank you. Okay, Elizabeth Bonbright, you're first. Do you think that students should be able to take any book they want out of the library without parental approval? Why or why not? And how should challenges to curriculum be handled?
Two separate questions, but I will answer the first one. Absolutely. I think that every child should be able to take out any book they want. Learning shouldn't have a cap on it. And I think there's a lot of things about my own life where books I read turned on my imagination and gave me new directions. It might not have been, what my parents would have thought at that time was great for me, but it was, and everyone agrees to it now. So I think the other thing, the other question was, I'm sorry, what did you say the second part of that was?
Curriculum.
Oh, curriculum.
Issues.
Curriculum issues. How parents have access to curriculum and how curriculum decisions are made. It's a long process, and there's lots of input. Faculty has input. Families have input. Students have input. As we go through new curriculum approvals, they're very public. And we put forward the options, and people see, teachers, vet them, they test them. We see how successful they are with students, how well they're accepted. So it's a long process. So
Thank you.
I'm running out of time.
Brianna Wolk.
I am so sorry. I'm trying to remember the first part now.
Do you think students should be able to take any book they want without parental or other approval?
Mm-hmm. Well, I noticed there's nothing about the age of the students mentioned in the question. There's whether they're elementary school or what. So the issue of the banning books is a huge issue, right? And I think that question is some of what I've seen in the library is borderline, if not blatantly, pornography. So that might seem alarmist to some people, but I could read you some of these books, and they're out there for people to find. So do I think we should limit information? Absolutely not. The opposite of that. And education and history and all of these things. This information is freely available in many places. So yes, there's a long process of. Oh, I'm sorry. I gotta wrap it up. Thank you.
Okay, you can finish your sentence.
Right.
If you want. Well,
I was just saying that the responsibility of your child's education does involve the parents. It's surprising to me to hear that even the first grader and the second grader, really, we'll see what people agree with, but thank you.
Thank you. Okay, let's try to get in 2 more quick questions. And your first, if staffing is down, has this affected music, art, physical ed, after-school programs? And if so, do you have a problem with this, and how best can we improve? And I know you're not on the board, but I know you're watching what they do. So 1 minute.
Correct. Well, I have seen it affect the Oakland Alternative High School, which hit hardest for me as a former alternative school student myself. So the repercussions of that have not come forth, but they've, as you know, that's one of the responsibilities for Position 5 is one of those schools right now, according to the website, and they've lost 50% of their staff now. And so it's going to make it a lot harder for students coming out of the juvenile system, students with drug issues. basically the most vulnerable students in the district have been defunded at this point. So yes, there is a problem with that, and there should be more done about it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Elizabeth Bonbright.
Yeah, this is so frustrating because teachers are dependent on student enrollment. The number of teachers we get, there's an apportionment that comes from the state, and it's very specific about how many students pay for X number of teachers. So we're all grappling with this. It is tough. And schools like Oakland and others that are specialty schools actually have an overabundance of teachers because they have kids with more specific needs. And so there's no justification for keeping them is the problem. We aren't funded for that. But I also want to say that, that there's a lot of different opportunities that we offer, and I'm glad you brought it the after school, because one of the things Tacoma Public School has done is we provide after school, before and after school care from 3 to 6 p.m. every weeknight, all school year long, for any student who needs them. In elementary school, that's Beyond the Bell, and for middle schoolers, that's Club B, Club Beyond. And it's open to any family, any student, and it is pretty amazing. We've raised, $18 million for the next 10 years to make that of private money, let alone the public money that we're also focusing in on that. And we have community partners we work with to make that happen. So we are addressing the child care need and the big need around that pretty directly, because after school care is critically important for the safety and
Yes.
kids.
Thank you. This will be the last question. Elizabeth Bonbright will answer it first, and you have 1 minute. Speaking of curriculum, is our civics education adequate and accurate? And do you think that the country and area's racial history are accurately represented? You can do that in a minute, right?
Sure. Well, first of all, happy Citizenship Day, which is the 17th of September. And we just announced that in the board meeting that happens in September. And in every classroom of Tacoma Public Schools, there will be discussion of what it means to be a citizen and all of those components of that. So that's exciting. Every year we do that. And then I guess the second part of the question, I'm sorry, what was that?
It's the country and the
that's
area's
right.
racial history.
That's right. Yes, I think we're working towards building that into the curriculums that we have. The current curriculums, we just adopted a new social studies curriculum, which is much better about dealing with all of the various ethnic and racial contributions to our history, and it isn't quite so Eurocentric, and that's helpful because kids need to see themselves in their history books. They need to see what their relatives and their history is reflected. I'm sorry, I'm being told I need to stop. So
It's okay. Brianna Wolk.
Gosh, once she does her answer, I'm so focused on it. I'm thinking, okay, is the civics? Yes. Well, I haven't done a ton of digging into the curriculum at this point because it's behind public records as far as I know. But the one, it's not, okay, I'm sorry. No, don't listen to my misinformation. But what I want to see is more civic participation from the voters. So that's very important to me, and I think what the students are taught is critically important. And I feel very sad and just sad for these kids because the opportunities are closing. The housing market is becoming unattainable for even people my age, and I'm an older millennial, and the opportunities are just not the same as they were even for me. So they definitely need a preparation for the real world, and that includes rooms like I'm in today, rooms like the school board meetings happen in, and I just want to see people really, really step up and be more aware. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and now it's time for closing statements. And Brianna Wolk will make the first closing statement, and you each have up to 1 minute.
Great, thank you everyone so much for having me here, and I'm very new at this, so I know it's gonna look pretty choppy, but I'm here because I care about the kids of Tacoma and Pierce County and where I live, and I've been struggling for 10 years with these institutions, and year after year, watching these positions be uncontested in the courts, the prosecutor, and the school board. The school board is absolutely critical, and 6 years is a really long time. So we're talking about a lot of change, a lot of difference, and all I can say right now is that I'm in for the long run because I'm part of this city and I pay part of my taxes go towards this school district. So I have a child of my own, and I'm going to make sure that if I put him into this school district, that things have to be accountable and things have to be, valuable, time valuable, because I'm not going to send my kids to something that I think is going to not help them. But thank you so much. I hope you vote.
Thank you. Elizabeth Bonbright.
Yes, thank you for joining us this evening. I really appreciate you asking great questions and giving us an opportunity to share a little bit about our perspective and our vision. I'm very proud to serve on the Tacoma School Board, and I know that there's a lot to learn, and we want to listen to the public and to our students and our staff and make changes that are relevant for them, because it is true that the world is changing quickly, and climate change and other things are becoming way more important to our youth than it may have been to us. And so we really are focusing, shifting a little bit about how we do education through high tech and experiential opportunities, as well as how we listen to our community. So I appreciate these forums, and I appreciate all of the voters who are taking the time to watch this and to really make an intelligent, educated decision about which candidate is going to serve their needs the best. And I appreciate the fact that Brianna has joined the race, because he's right. Civic opportunities, there are a lot of offices that go unchallenged, and we need to step up as a community and make sure all voices are heard. So thank you, and I hope I have earned your vote, and I look forward to meeting anyone that wants to talk more with me in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you both for being here and answering our questions. Now it's time for the audience to figure out for whom they want to vote, and to do it. Ballots must be in a drop box by 8 p.m. on November 7th or postmarked by that time. The candidates for Tacoma School District number 10, position 5, are Brianna Wolk and Elizabeth Bonbright. Thank you both, and thank you for watching.